A giant lion launches a ruthless hunt for a family, turning their fight to survive into a deadly struggle, all in his brutal quest to become the king of the planet. In a distant savanna, a group of poachers tracks down a lion pride and guns them down from afar. When they approach their kill, they realize that one lion managed to survive and escape, and they hear his roar somewhere nearby. The leader of the group orders the men to find and kill the remaining lion. Several of them immediately set out to track the animal. When they spot his footprints on the ground, they understand that he is enormous, and that they must find him first, because otherwise he will find them and kill them. Meanwhile, the others load the carcasses of the slaughtered animals into the vehicle. Suddenly, the men hear screams of pain and terror from their companions. The lion has tracked them down and taken revenge for the death of his pride. Rushing to help, the remaining men also fall into the lion's claws. Some time later, a man is flying to South Africa. He wakes up in the pilot's cabin from a strange dream in which he is walking among local villagers and trying to find his love. Shaking off the dream, he looks out the window and sees that their plane is almost there. Long ago, he had already been here, but he had forgotten just how beautiful Africa's nature is. Turning around, he calls to his daughters so they can admire the view as well. After disembarking, the family heads into a covered pavilion to wait for the father's friend. The girls are extremely unhappy with everything that is happening. They traveled a very long way just to end up in this dump, and on top of that, it is unbearably hot. At that moment, the father's friend finally arrives to take them to his home. Along the way, he explains that he works as a ranger and a security guard at a wildlife reserve. As they drive into the village, Mare notices that they are passing places where her mother once lived. The man confirms this and says that he was the one who introduced her mother to her father. While talking, the group arrives at the ranger's house. After unloading all their belongings, they go inside and settle into their rooms. Picking up her phone, Nora is horrified to discover that there is no internet and that she will not be able to access any social networks for the foreseeable future. Meanwhile, Mare notices photographs on the wall that her mother took long ago. They are stunning, but one stands out. It shows a very young woman beneath a massive tree located not far from the village. A little later, everyone sits down at the table for dinner. When the man notices that his older daughter has not come out, he goes to her room. An awkward conversation unfolds between them. The father realizes that their relationship is strained, but he does not understand how to fix it. Deciding to leave her alone, he returns to the others. After some time, Mare shows Martin her photographs and tells him that she has applied to an art school. Her father also tries to praise her work and remembers a photo hanging on their refrigerator. It shows a blue car. However, Nora corrects him and says the car in the picture is red. This makes Mare furious. He does not pay attention to her passion at all. The photo is already 5 years old, but he clearly does not care. He also did not care about their mother when she got sick, and during the last year of her life he was not there for her. The man tries to justify himself and explains that the decision to divorce was a mutual one and that he did not abandon his family. This argument deeply upsets Nora, and bursting into tears, she runs off to her room. After the failed conversation with the girls, the men step outside into the garden. There, Martin explains why he did not come to Amal's funeral. He did not want to watch her being buried beneath concrete slabs in New York, and he is sure that this was not what she would have wanted either. In response, the father shares his own struggles with his relationship with his older daughter. He cannot forgive himself for losing his family, for failing to save his wife, for missing her cancer. He understands why Mare cannot forgive him, because he cannot forgive himself either, and he believes he let his girls down. Martin comforts his friend. Even though he is a doctor, there are illnesses against which people are powerless. The next day, the whole group sets off on a safari. Martin promises to show them many interesting things and give them an exciting tour. As they begin their journey, they drive through the reserve and along the way encounter antelopes, giraffes, rhinos, and elephants. Mare takes stunning photographs with her film camera. At one point, they pass by an abandoned school in the mountains. Long ago, there used to be a copper mine there, and the workers' children studied at that school. But the mine ran dry and was shut down, and with it, the school closed as well. After driving a little farther, Martin spots his partner's pickup truck and stops. A short distance away, he shows the girls and his friend a pride of lions and suggests getting a closer look. This pride has 2 males, Kuda and Kawe, and the rest are females. Leaving everyone by the vehicles, Martin fearlessly walks toward the lions. He is not afraid of them at all, because he raised them when they were still cubs. When they grew up, he released them into the reserve. Seeing a man approach, the lions become alert, but recognizing him, they rush forward happily to greet him and rub against him. At that moment, the man notices that one of the lionesses has an injured leg. He decides to carefully come closer to take a look, but she does not let him approach. From a distance, Martin can see that her paw was wounded by a gunshot. He immediately reports this to Bonji and asks him to find a veterinarian. The man assumes right away that she was shot by poachers, who have become far more active lately. Returning to the others, Martin tells the doctor and the girls what happened and suggests driving to the nearest village. Maybe someone there saw or heard something. The family, of course, agrees. Along the way, Martin talks about poachers. Before, they were only interested in elephants and rhinos, but now they have gone after lions too. They sell the lion's claws and teeth on the black market. After listening to the ranger, Nora says she read about anti-poaching fighters who track poachers down and kill them. Then the girl asks whether Martin himself does that kind of thing. He answers evasively, saying that they try to protect animals as best they can. At that moment, their car drives past a blood-covered pickup truck standing in the bushes. When they arrive at the village, the ranger asks the family to be polite with the locals. This is not a tourist place, and they are not used to outsiders. Looking around the settlement, the men are surprised that it feels almost completely empty, with no people anywhere. Entering one of the gazebos, Martin is horrified to see the bodies of people. Judging by the wounds, they were killed by a lion, and since the blood is still fresh, the predator is somewhere nearby. This is extremely strange and completely unlike normal animal behavior. Lions do not attack people. Realizing they urgently need to return home to report what happened, the father quickly calls for the children. However, to his horror, Nora is not standing next to Mare. She did not notice where her sister walked off. In a panic, he starts searching for the girl, but she does not respond. Suddenly, he hears her scream and runs full speed toward the sound. Making his way through a strange structure that looks like a pen, he finds Nora around one of the turns. While exploring the village, she found a dead cow and a woman, and it terrified her. Taking his frightened daughter, the whole group urgently gets back into the car and drives away. On the road, Martin tries to contact Bonji to report what happened, but they are very far from the base and his radio cannot reach. There is a guard post 6 kilometers away. From there they will be able to call for help. The girl's father suggests taking them home first and dealing with the village afterward. His children are extremely scared. However, Martin is against it. About 15 families live there, and many of them were his good friends. He cannot leave them in trouble. At maximum speed, they rush forward. Suddenly, they spot an injured man ahead and stop to help. It turns out to be a local villager. He and other men went after the lion to kill it, but they failed. After handing the man over to the doctor, Martin takes a rifle and steps into the tall grass. He heard that the lion was still somewhere nearby and decided to deal with it himself. After examining the man's wound, the doctor runs to the car for the medical kit. Opening the back door, he searches for the supplies and asks the girls not to get out of the vehicle. They panic and do not understand what is happening, but their father calms them down and asks the older one to try to contact Bonji and call for help. He himself returns to the injured man. Seeing that he is dying, he performs CPR, but it does not help. Meanwhile, Martin carefully moves through the trees and bushes, ready to fire at the animal at any moment. Suddenly, a flock of birds takes off from one of the bushes, startling him. Reaching a small lake, he notices crocodiles and lion tracks. Expecting to see the predator at any second, he looks around again, and at that exact moment the lion appears behind him. Turning toward the sound, the ranger fires. The sound reaches the family as well. The doctor, worried that something happened to his friend, decides to go check. Afraid for her father, Mare gets out of the car and follows him. Pushing through the bushes, the man suddenly sees the lion and, screaming, runs for his life. He jumps into the car and just in time manages to shut the door in front of the predator's face. Hiding inside, the family watches the lion in panic, but to their misfortune, one of the windows is open, and the animal injures the man. Realizing the beast is about to reach him through the car, he yells to Mare to start the car and drive immediately. Panicking, the girl follows her father's instructions and the car speeds off. They manage to fend off the lion, but in her fear, she loses control of the car, and it flies off the road into a ravine. After calming the daughters, the man gets back behind the wheel and tries to start the car to get help, but it doesn't work. With tears, Mare says there's no point waiting for help. Her uncle Martin had said these aren't tourist areas, and the radio is only giving static. At that moment, the radio comes to life. Martin has made contact. He tells his friend that the lion attacked him and wounded him. The predator tore his leg, and he's losing a lot of blood, likely about to pass out. In response, Nate explains the problems with the car and asks about the severity of the injury. Hearing that it's serious, he tells the ranger to grab a knife, heat it up with a lighter, and press it against the bleeding artery. It will hurt terribly, but it will stop the bleeding. The man follows his friend's instructions exactly and cauterizes the wound. At that moment, Nate hears Martin scream and realizes he is nearby. He immediately tells the ranger, but the man objects. The lion is back and standing right in front of them. He believes this behavior is very unusual for the animal, probably leaving Martin alive as bait. However, Nate ignores him and tells him to stay still while he comes up with a plan. Mare immediately remembers the tranquilizer rifle. Searching the car, they find a locked chest containing the weapon. Contacting Martin, Nate tells him about it, but Martin instructs them to stay in the car. The lion has moved away. Going out with the rifle is too dangerous. Even if they hit the predator, it would only give them about 2 hours of advantage. But the man is ready to take the risk to not abandon his friend. The ranger then advises him to climb somewhere high for a better view. After a moment, Nate climbs onto the car roof and waits for the lion to appear. Meanwhile, the girls use the radio to contact Martin, asking for tips on how to track the lion and whether there is anything notable near him, so they can figure out where to look. Looking around, the man reports that there is a small hunting lodge nearby. Mare spots it through the window and, ignoring her father's orders, gets out of the car. She thinks Martin is losing blood and needs help immediately. Nate demands that his daughter get back into the car, but she ignores him. At that moment, the lion appears behind the car. Nora sees the predator first and screams a warning to the others. Instantly, the beast attacks the car, and the older girl runs away. The man aims at the animal but misses, and in the next second, the lion knocks Nate off the car roof. He manages to hide under the vehicle, where the predator cannot reach him. Deciding the car holds more tempting prey, the lion turns to Nora and jumps onto the roof. Terrified, the girl pleads with her father to save her. Fearing for his child, the man reaches for the dropped rifle, but the lion notices and turns on him again. In desperation, Nora opens the dart case, takes out the last tranquilizer, and sticks it through the open window into the animal's back. Unable to reach deeper, the lion retreats and finally leaves. At this moment, Mare finds Martin and helps him get to the car. As soon as he's laid down in the seats, Nate jumps into action. He cleans the wound and then stitches it up. The girls help out too, doing everything they can to keep their friend alive. Their father calms them down and promises that everything will be okay, saying the lion shouldn't come back for at least the next 2 hours. But right then, Mare spots the beast. Martin has woken up, and apparently, the dart has worn off. As night falls, the group tries to contact anyone and ask for help. The car engine is dead, which means they can't get out on their own. They also need to ration their water. It's very little, and they don't know how long they'll be stuck here, but surely someone will notice and come looking for them. However, Mare doesn't trust her father's words. She thinks he's lying again, like he once lied to Nora, promising that their mother wouldn't die. Those words hurt the younger girl deeply, and she demands that her sister stay silent. Then she admits that she had really hoped their parents would be together again. After a while, Martin comes to and learns what happened while he was unconscious. He admits that this behavior is very unusual for a lion. Normally, lions don't attack people, especially not cars. They kill only for food, but this one is killing everyone and not eating. Most likely, Poachers wiped out his entire pride, and now the beast is taking revenge on humans. Hearing this doesn't make Nate feel any better. He needs to save his daughters, but he has no idea how. Martin suggests they stay in the car and keep still. They're far from people, radios don't work, there's no weapons, and they can't take down a lion with their bare hands. At some point, Nate falls asleep and dreams of his wife again. He follows her in the dream and begs her not to leave. When he wakes up, he sees empty water bottles next to him and then notices the girls aren't in the car. Panicking, he calls for his daughters and tries to get out, but the doors seem stuck. Turning on the headlights, he's horrified to see the lion attacking the children. Lying on the car floor, he hears his wife's voice, and when he turns, he sees her too. Waking up fully, he realizes it was all different dreams. Opening his eyes, he notices Mare is awake. He tells her he always loved her mother and thought they still had time to fix things. Every time he looks at his daughter, he sees parts of his wife in her. He feels terrible about how everything turned out and asks for forgiveness. At that moment, the radio in the car comes alive. Mare hopes it's rescuers and that maybe they've been heard. A few minutes later, they spot headlights approaching. Squinting, Nora notices the newcomers have weapons, and they all realize they're poachers. Exiting the car, Nate approaches the men to ask for help. He explains that his daughters and an injured friend are in the car, and that a lion, which wiped out an entire village, attacked them. He offers to pay if they help. They agree and demand $5,000, but before going to the village, they need to unload their vehicles. Meanwhile, one of the poachers peeks inside the car and spots Martin. He recognizes him as the ranger who killed 3 people from their group. This enrages the others, and they point their weapons at Nate, then pull the girls out of the car. But unfortunately for them, the lion appears at that exact moment and attacks. The poachers start shooting. Using the chaos, Nate drags his daughters back into the car. He comes up with a plan to steal the poacher's vehicle, but he needs the keys. He remembers who was driving and plans to find the driver. He tells the others and promises to return in 10 minutes. Grabbing his radio, Nate sets off to search for the keys. He finds a dead body and rifles through the pockets, but comes up empty and moves on. At one point, he stumbles across a lion and ducks behind a tree. Trying not to make a single sound, he peeks cautiously from his hiding spot, but to his misfortune, the radio in his hand turns on. He frantically tries to shut it off, but the predator has already heard him. The lion approaches the tree where the man was hiding just a minute ago. Sniffing the radio, it growls menacingly. The girls, who were trying to contact their father, hear it all. Meanwhile, Nate watches the predator from the branches above. Spotting a snake, he grabs it in a swift motion and tosses it onto the beast's back. Startled, the lion shakes off the reptile and retreats. Meanwhile, the girls wait for their father, scared and worried. 10 minutes have already passed. Suddenly, a stranger appears nearby and says something to them. Nora pleads with her sister not to open the door, and Mare listens to her warning. Back in the forest, Nate tries to locate the poacher's driver to steal the keys. At one point, the lion reappears, but the girls distract it by honking at the car. Once the predator leaves, the man finally finds the right dead body. He takes the keys, the radio, and the weapon, then contacts his daughters to tell them he's coming back. At the same time, the sisters and Martin wait for Nate's return. Suddenly, they spot the beast near the car. It starts smashing the windows, trying to reach them. The ranger orders the girls to climb into the back of the car, but Mare doesn't make it in time. the predator slips through the broken window and attacks. Trying to protect the children, the ranger yells for them to run while he attempts to hold off the lion. As the girls dash out into the street, the car tumbles down the slope and crashes. The lion falls, seemingly dead, but a few minutes later, it recovers and cautiously stands on its paws. Circling the car, it spots Martin. He's alive and, holding a lighter, waits for the attack. As the beast lunges close, the man ignites the fire, and in the next second, a massive explosion erupts. Meanwhile, Nate returns to his children. Suddenly, he hears the girl screaming. Sprinting at full speed, he finds them and realizes Mare is injured, and Martin has died. After bandaging the girl's wound, he heads for the village. He instructs the sisters to look for landmarks they passed yesterday, though it's uncertain how far their fuel will last. At that moment, Nora spots the pride of Kuda and Kawe, and then a deserted school. Assessing Mare's condition, Nate decides to head to the school. Gas is running low, and the girl needs help, or she could die from her injury. He lifts her in his arms, carries her inside, and lays her on a table. Then he asks Nora to help find a first aid kit. Judging by the state of the building, poachers must have used it, so something should be there. Searching the place, the man finds bandages and a bottle of alcohol. Returning to Mare, he cleans the wound and wraps it up. Now he's confident she'll be okay, the internal organs are unharmed, and the rest is minor. Satisfied that Mare is safe, he instructs the daughters to stay in the house while he searches for water. Stepping into the courtyard, he inspects the garden and surrounding rooms. At that moment, a lion appears outside the window, but Nate doesn't notice it. The predator, following its nose, slips into the room where Nora and Mare are hiding. They spot the animal first and quietly duck out of sight. Waiting until the beast turns away, they sneak into the next room, but it doesn't help. The lion finds them. Kicking open a locker, the man grabs the radio. He tries to contact the village, but there's no response. At that very moment, he hears his children screaming. Sprinting as fast as he can, he reaches them just in time. He fires several shots at the beast, but misses. Still, the lion gets scared and bolts. Scooping Mare into his arms, he carries her to the annex and tells the girls to wait there. He knows the lion won't leave them alone, and he has no choice. Promising his daughters he will survive and come back to them, he pulls out his knife and shouts to the predator, drawing its attention. Once he's sure the beast is focused on him, he turns and runs as fast as he can. Bursting onto the plain, he clashes with the lion, but the animal is clearly stronger. After taking several hard hits from its paws, Nate refuses to give up and fights with everything he has. A few times, he even manages to wound the beast, but it only seems to enrage it more. Just when it looks like he's doomed, help arrives unexpectedly. Two lions, Kuda and Cave, attack the intruder who dared to enter their pride's territory. Exhausted, Nate realizes his plan has worked. Before losing consciousness, he hears the sound of a car approaching. They've finally found him. On the edge of life and death, he thinks of his beautiful wife and feels a rush of relief knowing he's finally found her. Coming to, he realizes he's in a hospital, with his daughters by his side. The girls explain that Bonji found them and brought them to the hospital. They also figured out his plan. He had deliberately lured the lion into the pride's territory. It was a trap. Then Mare tells him that the lion was killed and will harm no one ever again. Some time later, after Nate is discharged from the hospital, he drives with his daughters to the tree where his wife loved to spend time. The three of them take an incredible photo there, a memory that will always remind them of everything that happened. Do you think the ranger's choice to hunt the man-eating lion alone was an act of true heroism, or just reckless stupidity? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, give a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.